Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be learning about configuration tables and variant links. So if we look on the screen, we can see we have these three objects here. These are all configurable objects. Look to the left, you see a spreadsheet, and there are two configuration tables in here. We know the configuration tables because we have this line which says pending. We have a master body which acts as a widget. So this one here, it's acting as a kind of template for everything else. These other bodies have been cloned from this template in a certain way known as a variant link. So if I click on, say, the binder of this one and look down, you'll notice that I have a set of configurations down here that I have customized. So I've added these configurations in here and I can change these to whatever I want to make this large with a high profile, and the same for, say, let's hide the original. So this one, and we look at the binder and we can come down and find again the different ones for a medium, and let's keep it as a low profile. So you can see we have these two objects in here that I can change and customize how I want. The good thing is I can make additional objects as well, so I can create new bodies from this master body and create additional objects in here. This allows me to create assemblies and variable parts for my modeling. So let's have a look at how we will create a configuration table and the variant links in this video. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Coffee at ko-fi.com/MANG0 or via PayPal at paypal.com/PayPalMe/DarrenBEstone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. So we're going to first learn how to make a configuration table. To do this, we're going to need the spreadsheet workbench. So we come down and enter the spreadsheet workbench. And we use this button here to create a new spreadsheet, or come up to the top and spreadsheet, create spreadsheet. So we have a new spreadsheet. The idea is to create a number of rows in here, each of which will be a configuration that will be available in the drop-down menu on a container such as a part or part design body. First of all, let's go to row 1. And I'm going to enter for our first column the type. So this is going to be our lookup value. We'll add some arbitrary values in here. So this is going to be size, let's say size A and size B. So I'm going to make two constraints against these that will attach to the sketch. And we'll just add in small, medium, and large. Now, word of advice here is that these have to be alphanumeric or alpha values, because these are the lookup values. If you had something like 1 or 2 in here, just those, they will be classed as integers and we'll get an error in there. Now, you notice that a normal spreadsheet, if I added some values in here, 10 and say 20, this one will be 30 and 60, and this one will be, say, 50 and 100. So this will be your normal spreadsheet. For a configuration table, we need to add a row in here. So a blank row. So I'm going to highlight this row, then right click and insert one row above. So we have a blank row in here. This row will have a reference to the selected value. So what I'm going to do now is highlight the content of the spreadsheet from the blank row down to our last value. While that's highlighted, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to config table. And you see we've got A2 to C2 here, the cell range, which I've got to increase to A2 to C5. Let's change that to C5. And this will be our configuration table range that we're going to use. Now the property is going to be the container or the object that we're going to connect this to. At the moment, we haven't got a container or object. So if I hit OK, we're going to be presented with an error saying failed to pass expression for property. So let's just cancel that and add a container. So I'm going to use a part design workflow. So go out to spreadsheet and swap over to the part design. And in the model tab, make sure nothing's selected, and we're going to add a body. So create body. So now we see that the label is body. I can rename this if I wanted to. Right click and rename. And we'll call this something like the master body. And now we can go to our spreadsheet and highlight our blank first cell and come down to the bottom and right click and configuration table. So in here we had C5. Hover over the property and it says type in an expression to specify the object and property name. So in here, if we start typing body, you can see we've got the body in there. We've also got the label, the master body. We can use either of those. We can use the master body if we think that's going to be more descriptive to us, or we could just use body. And then in here, we add the name of the drop down that we want. So this doesn't exist at the moment. So I'm just going to put in here configuration. So this is going to be the drop down that's going to appear on the body itself. Let's hit OK. Now you notice that we have this hash pending and 10 and 20 here. So this has been populated with the current selected value. If I go back to the master body, we see a change. So if we look at the properties of the master body on the data tab, we see this configuration. So this new property that's been added, and it's saying small. And we can drop this down and select, say, large. And then when we go back to the spreadsheet, you see that this has been updated. This is where we pull the values from. So this column here, we'll pull size A from and size B from this column. So we'll alias these up. So click on one, come up to alias and size A. Remember that when we add these to such things as constraints or properties, then we're going to need to make sure we follow the same casing. Just going to hit enter on there and come over to the other one and click in the alias and size B and hit enter to set that. So these have turned a light yellow color to show they're aliased. So when we create a sketch, an operation, and reference these in a constraint or the pad height, the width, the length, etc., then we pull from this column. And the minute we change on the master body, drop these down to say medium, the spreadsheet will update, and so will any constraints or any properties that reference that. So for instance, our master body at the moment is in bold and it's active. So I'm going to create a sketch in there along the XY plane and hit OK. Very simple sketch. I'm going to use a circle, constrain to the center point, bring this out, and again, another circle, constrain to that center point and bring it out. Hit the right mouse button to get the mouse pointer back, take the outer circle and give it a diameter. And we'll use the little formula icon on the end. And this is where we start referencing back to that spreadsheet. So spreadsheet dot, you can see the dot is already there. And if we type in size, we get the size A and size B. So let's go for size B on that one because that was the largest size, I believe. And hit OK. So we can see that one's highlighted in orange, so it's got a reference. I'll select the other one, diameter. And this one's going to be spreadsheet dot size. And we'll go for size A for that one and OK that. So we've got the two reference geometry in there. And those, if I close that, those are referenced to the spreadsheet on these two columns there. So if we look at the sketch and come up to the body and change the configuration to say large and click off, this changes. So we've got this option here now to change it to whatever configuration we want. Let's give the sketch some padding and set this to say 1mm. So basically we've created a fixture of a washer. Let's say we created that one, or O-ring or something like that. We could do this with a drawer. We could have many items going along here in the spreadsheet. We can add more configuration tables. So we could have a second one in here. Let's say for the pad, making sure we leave a blank line. I'm going to put in here high and low. One's going to be 5mm and the other one's going to be 1mm. And we'll alias up this field. Give it an alias of, let's go for size height. And again, configuration table. So we need all of this. Right click, configuration table, A7 to B7. So we're going from A7 to the B7 here. We've got the properties in here. So we need to go to B9. So we're looking at B column and last value B9. And the property in here, we're going to use body. Let's go for master body. And we'll put in here new property of height. And let's call it pad height, so we know what it is. So we'll put in here pad height and OK that. So now we've got another configuration table in here, which allows me to go to the master body, and you'll see we've got a pad height in here now. And we've got the 2 in here, high and low. And if we click on the pad, the length, let's click on that. And this is spreadsheet dot size height, and OK that. So now we've rigged up the pad, and we can change that in our master body to high and low, as well as changing the other configuration. Get numerous configurations in the master body. And you can see that in the spreadsheet. You can see what's happening in the spreadsheet here. If we want to get rid of this, we just click on this hash pending this first cell of the configuration table, and then right click configuration table. We get our details here. We can change those, and we can hit unset. By clicking unset, that unsets this table. And now if we look at the master body, we've only got pad height in there. To place it back, highlight all those, all the values, right click, configuration table, set this to C5, to the last column and row, so that last cell, and set the property to body, master body dot configuration. Now we had sketches attached to that, so let's have a look at the sketch and look at the reference. And you can see we're still referencing the spreadsheet.sizeB in there. Because we aliased that field up, even though we cleared the master body, that configuration on there, because we've aliased this to the spreadsheet, we don't have to worry about losing our reference if we remove configuration tables and re-add them. So we've got configuration tables. There is something that we can add in here called a variant link. That's as simple as creating a new body in here. And what I want to do is basically use this like it was stamping widgets. So we're cloning this master body and making separate items in here, so separate copies of that master body. To do that, we create a new body. So just create a new body. It's active. Click on the master body and we use the subshape binder to create a subshape binder, or part design, create a subshape binder. What happens is that this body now contains a binder that is bound to the master body. If we look down, you can see that we haven't got the configuration pulling through from the body. So this master body, we've got the configuration and the pad height. And we look down on the binder, we'll see that that doesn't actually exist. So what do we do? Well, this property here, the bind copy on change, needs to be changed. If we hover over that, we can see that if it's disabled, it disables it. If it enables it, duplicates the property from the binding objects that are marked with copy on change. So that's changed this, and it'll probably error because I haven't saved it yet, to enabled, and click off. So we've got the binder at the moment, so it's all looking good, and that's come down and we see the configuration and the pad height now has pulled through. So if we change these, let's change this to medium and click off, you can see it's gone into error. It's saying owner document is not saved. So let's save this. So file, save as, and we'll save this as variant link. Edit, refresh, so refresh that, and now we've got the binder has taken on the properties of the master body, and when we've changed it, you can see it's changed in there. The original master body is here. So what do we have? Well, we have the master body as a kind of cookie cutter. So we've got this one here, and we create binders against that associated with new bodies, pull that cookie cutter in, but there is one problem. I'm just going to hide the master body. We can't add anything to this at the moment. If I try to add a sketch upon here, so I'll select this face and add a sketch and try to create something in here like a circle and close that. If I can see my body is active, if I take that sketch and try to poke it through, it's going to complain that there is no solid to subtract from. So what we've got to do is take this binder and use it as a base feature in our body. So I'm just going to get rid of that sketch and delete that. The body has a base feature. If we click in the base feature and click on this field on the end, I can now select the binder. So the binder here, or we select it from here, select it from here, and then hit OK. So now we've created a base feature that's connected to that binder. It needs refreshing. We can use a shortcut key or edit and come down to refresh. And you notice it's changed color. The binder is still visible at the moment. Click on the binder and press the space bar. So that's in there now. And what I can do is take that and now add my sketch and then add my circle against this. Let's go from here. And remember, this is going to be affected by any change of the underlying object. So for instance, I need to make sure this is fully constrained, because if I change the settings of this, make it smaller, this pocket, what I'm going to make in a minute, is going to travel. Let me show you. So if I close that, it's not fully constrained, and I use a pocket through there, we can see it's taken. But the minute I come into the binder again, and that's decide, well, I don't want the pad height to be high, I want it low, we should be fine with that. And we want it large this time. Well, you can see right there is where the sketch sits because it's traveled. So we must make sure that that sketch is at the correct position by importing some of this geometry. Let's import these two. So the two circles, and we'll take this one to about here, and we'll add some points. I'm going to add them to the vertical line, and then I hit escape. Take the point and this circle, point on line constraint, and the same with this point and this circle, point on line constraint, point on object constraint. Try that again, this one and this one. There we go. And now I can make a constraint between these two. We're going to get a redundant constraint because we've got this point on object constraint on this line here. And our last point, this one, symmetry constraint, redundant constraint here, number 3, click that and delete it. And therefore we have this circle here, and we'll set some radius on that. And we'll set this one to 10 mil. I'll close that now, the pocket will go through. This may be a bit big, but if we go back to the binder again and come down, and we'll change the configuration to medium, you can see it all changes. One thing that we have to remember is that this spreadsheet itself is part of that cookie cutter. So it's no point in trying to add values in here and referencing them back to this sketch. Actually, what I mean is the sketch to the values. For instance, this circle, it has a diameter. If I place that as a constraint to, let's say, this spreadsheet with another column in here, it just wouldn't work because we've taken an instance of these values for the different bodies. So it's at the moment it's in the master body, and when we've cloned the master body via the subshape binder, it's taken a set of those values across that's independent of this spreadsheet. So you can see the binder at the moment is set to medium and low, and the spreadsheet at the moment is set to 10 and 20, which is this small. So you can see these are working independently of each other. This is just a cookie cutter for these two. If I wanted to incorporate this sketch as part of the original, then I would actually move this sketch to the master body and place it in here. So we just have to watch out for that if we're trying to constrain the circle in relation to the original spreadsheet. So I hope that's given you an introduction to the config table and the variant link. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you in the new one. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/MANG0 or via PayPal at paypal.com/paypalme/DarrenBEstone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. I thank everybody that's donated so far. It really helps to keep the lights on so I can produce more content and also expand the channel. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing to these videos, and I hope to see you again in the next one.